yeah. And then he listened to it again and he's like, this is crazy. Your body was attacking you from the inside out. Like, he's like, I know I was sad, but to have it in a music form and hear it, like, I've had to turn the radio off a couple times whenever certain songs come on. Certain rock songs, you get going and you're like, that's not fun anymore. And then you have those other songs and you're like, oh, well, wanted to listen to that one loud, but the baby's in the car. So, but no, there are certain songs that get to me. At his memorial, I know a couple of you guys were there. The song "I Can Only Imagine" was one of the main songs. And if you think about those lyrics, just a couple of them. So I can only imagine what it would be like to walk by your side. I will never get to walk by Carson's side until I go through those gates. I will never get to walk by God's side until I'm in those gates. But he will walk with me on a daily basis. So actually just this week was the first time that I've heard the song since his memorial. Because I wanted to put myself in the tone for this speech and make sure that I was conveying what I wanted to convey to you guys. Because it is hard to do this. And it's not just hard telling your faith and telling your story, and telling your beliefs. It's hard telling, I am a mom, I have 2 kids, and one of them is an angel. It's hard saying that sentence, but at the same time, my name's Katie, I have twin boys, and I love them both to the moon and back. Just one got closer to the moon first. Any other questions? Yes.
I don't have a question, but your story brought back some really deep memories for me. My little sister at 4 months passed away. I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then my little brother, I found him floating in our cow trough when I was 7.
Oh gosh.
And I didn't have the Lord. I'm here by the grace of God. My mom died when I was 13. And by the grace of God, I'm here. Because I went through what I didn't know was depression. Mm-hmm. It was a deep grief. But God is faithful. He is faithful.
Amen.
He sustained me. I was 40 years old before I was able to get rid of all that stuff and give it to him and allow him to fill me in those empty places with his love. So thank you for reminding me how great God is.
Amen.
You're welcome. I got my one person. Anybody else? If you have anything on your heart, go ahead.
When I had my losses, it was just brushed under the carpet. You didn't talk about it. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody said one word to me. Too bad. I know you're sad. You'll get over it. It's life. It's nature. Shut up. Get on with it. Nobody said one single word. It was Easter Sunday.
Oh.
Easter Sunday. And a nun came in. I was in a Catholic hospital. A nun came in. I said, don't you dare talk to me about God. Don't you dare. They went down the aisle. I said, we need to get her out of here. But nobody said a word. And nobody ever mentioned it. Not my husband, not my mother-in-law, nobody. It was like, you get to the point you think, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong.
You feel like you don't exist.
Yeah. And then when I had a child that was ill, we spent a year in the hospital. And again, I was alone, all by myself. And the only thing I ever heard was, gosh, nobody in my family ever had that. Where did that came from? So you do all of this alone. You're 2,500 miles away. You have nobody there to support you. And except when I got home, my husband was packed and said, I'm leaving. Bye. So now you got kid in the hospital, you have 2 jobs, one in nursery school, and you have, you're all alone, so
I'm sorry you had to go
you
through
adjust, you get on with your life. And that's literally what I was told.
that. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, it's a long time ago, 50 years ago.
But it's still something that is so present.
Yeah, it is. But, what do they say? What doesn't kill you makes you strong.
Playing off of your story, I want to point out also that there are certain things that you shouldn't say to a grieving mother. Some of those being a couple.
Yeah.
But I got a couple minutes, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I went to a convenience store. Carson's still being on his apnea monitor at the time. Thankfully, he has no strings attached. But I walked in the store and I forgot to get him a sun hat. Those big ones that don't get your kids all sunburned. Well, I didn't know you had to get one of those. We're going through Leavenworth and the lady goes, "Oh, you have the cutest baby ever." And I'm like, my heart is telling me to say something. And I don't mind speaking up that I have 2 kids. If you talk to me, I don't mind talking about both of them. But I brought up to her, I said, well, he's a twinless twin, and I'm a twinless mom. And she goes, well, that sucks, but at least you still have one.
Oh, Lord.
And you want to know the saddest thing about that? I've heard the "at least you still have one" over 20 times. No one understands what that phrase means. Yes, I still have one child. I had 2. I have 2. But to tell me that, yeah, you still have him. Think about if your significant other passes away. I'm just going to put either one because I don't want to discriminate. But say your significant other dies and someone comes up to you and goes, well, at least you still have your dog. Think about it. It's the same thing.
I still have Walter.
But that's how like I take it. Yeah, I still got old Buckaroo back here or something, But if you lost your significant other, would you want them to be compared that way? Well, at least you still have them. No. If Tim passed away, I wouldn't be like, well, at least I still got the goldfish, I guess he's a beta fish, sorry. But I wouldn't say that. But whenever you're talking to a grieving mother or a grieving father or a grieving grandmother or grandfather, they don't want to be told, well, at least you still got the one child.
But you didn't learn that until later.
I actually got told that a couple of weeks after I had the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and thank gosh you did learn it.
And I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And I've gotten told to voice up and be an advocate.
Yeah.
Because that little boy doesn't have a voice, even though he tries to tell us all about it all the time. But he doesn't have a voice to tell me what is wrong, what is going wrong, what he's feeling. If he's going to have survivor's guilt, that is the most terrifying thing. To think that he'll grow up, he'll know about Colton. We have a memorial down our hallway of all these things. But to think about that in your brain, that my child could come up to me and be like, why did I survive and not my brother? That is where my acceptance is very difficult. Because I don't want to accept that for him. I don't want to have to tell him that. Because there are medical things that happened that I don't want to discuss with him. That we don't even share with only our close family knows certain things. So I brought a couple things to show you.
I wanted to say one thing.
Yes.
I want them to know that these 2 were very connected, even though they only had 12
Yeah.
days outside the womb. They were both in separate hospitals.
Oh, good.
When
Yeah.
Colton had passed away, Carson went almost chaotic. the nurses at Sacred Heart didn't even know what was wrong with Carson.
At Deaconess.
At Deaconess,
Yeah.
so one of them was at Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Mixed up.
So Carson was at.
Carson knew when Colton passed.
Yeah.
Away.
Carson was at
Almost to the
Deaconess.
moment the nurses said, that's when he started acting up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Carson was at Deaconess, and then he got transferred over to Sacred Heart. You need this?
Please, thank you.
I thought you were just tipping me. No, Carson was at Deaconess for 104 days, and then Colton was at Deaconess for 7 days, and then they thought he had a hole in his intestines, and then they went in, and he had a hole in his stomach, sewed it up, everything went great, and then 5 days later, he had a pulmonary embolism in his lungs. And the day he passed away, I had called the hospital because every time they'd be like, how's brother doing? And I called them and I said, hey, don't ask me about his brother today. I don't want to talk about it. His brother passed away. Don't ask me any more questions. And they didn't ask me anything. But that morning, the thing that throws the whole wrench in it is that morning, they were taking out his ventilator tube, Colton's ventilator tube. And they were taking it out. But that, like an hour before they did it, they said, everything is amazing. Colton's doing fantastic. He's doing better than he has in days. Okay, cool. I'm going to go to lunch with one of my girlfriends. We sat down at the table. 3 calls from the doctor that I had missed. It's the only time I had my phone on silent, other than right now. But 3 calls. And I remember the message so vividly. Katie, I'm sorry to tell you this on the phone, but I am not going to tell you what's happening, but you need to call me. Hearing those words, you think the worst, and it was the worst. Before I could even call my husband back, or call him to tell him to get to the hospital, and he was at work, I'm not going to do it. She called me again. She says, your son has coded 3 times, and you probably won't make it back to say goodbye. We got in the car, drove with my girlfriend. Thankfully, she drove me because I probably would have wrecked my car. We were going to 80 down the freeway, and we get to the hospital. I'm not going to cry. We get to the hospital, and when you get to the NICU, you have to wash your hands. They don't let you go through the doors without hand sanitizer and smelling like Purell the whole day. And I get to that door, and they're like, you're his mom. Come in. I'd only been there 5 days with him. And they tell me, come in here. There were 15 nurses and doctors in this room. And I go, where's my baby boy? Sorry. And he came back for 30 minutes so that Tim and I could say goodbye. He popped back alive. He was flatlined when I arrived. So going through that and having your son pass away in your arms, it is difficult. And I'm so sorry for all that I've lost. It is not a place that I would wish on my worst enemy. It's not a place I even want to go through again. I know that God made me strong enough that I probably could, but I don't want to have to be the person to go through that. Again, if there's any more questions before I go to my next topic. No? Okay. So, this is Carson's clothes. This is how small. So if you think about it in comparison to my hand, he couldn't even fit in this outfit when he was born. If you think about this now, this was his first diaper. Not used, not used.
Pam,
But then you think about this.
61.
They had to fold them in half for them to even fit. So I had a mom reach out to me, and she actually made me a cloth diaper of what the boys would have worn, so I could show you guys today. So I have small hands.
Come a long way, mister. Come a long ways, mister.
So if we think about, yes, I have this adorable little munchkin. This is what he wears now. It's the size of his foot. It's the size of his torso. If you want, you can pass these around. Those are some pictures just after he got out of the hospital. Or a couple months after he got out of the hospital. He's got his hair cut from his dad and his grandpa. But I am blessed to have this opportunity. I am blessed to be a child of God. And I am blessed to be here to share my journey and my trials and tribulations with you guys and what I have gone through. If you're sick, don't hold hands. We don't want to spread germs. But if we could all hold hands, I would like to end this in prayer, if that is all right.
You bet.
I'm going to stop this.